Cindy, thank you very much. It's always an honor to partner with you and also with Justice at Stake on these very important issues. First, I'd like to thank all of you for coming, and let me give you about a 45-second overview of the Committee for Economic Development. We are a business-led public policy organization, a think tank, if you will, with approximately 200 senior business leaders and university presidents from around the country. We focus on issues that help promote economic growth around the country and the world. We were founded in 1942, helped create the Marshall Plan that rebuilt Western Europe, and we have in recent years been a voice of business, a nonpartisan, non-ideological voice of business on issues such as campaign finance reform, judicial selection reform, education reform across the continuum, health care, and the fiscal crisis facing the country. I'm going to be very brief in what I have to say at the beginning. I just want to ask a question and to ask all of you to think about it. And the question is very simple. Is the United States on a trajectory to become a third world country? I ask that because there are certain indicators which trouble a number of us at the Committee for Economic Development. They certainly trouble me. First of all was yesterday's announcement about Standard & Poor's casting into question, not changing our AAA rating, but casting into doubt our medium to long-term ability to fund our own annual federal deficits and our growing national debt. Our former chief economist was a famous economist named Herbert Stein. You may have seen him quoted a lot recently. He said something to the effect that if a trend is unsustainable, if something is unsustainable, it will stop. And so what we're seeing now will stop, and the question is whether we will resolve it in a rational, policy-driven way, or whether it will be the result of a crisis either in the dollar or through inflation. So Standard & Poor's yesterday. Second, if you look at the way money comes into our system, particularly in the political system and also in state judicial races around the country, I think it's very difficult to look at this and not say that it's dysfunctional. I remember John McCain, with whom we worked very closely a decade ago on campaign finance reform. John used to say that if you want to make progress in this country to fix the fiscal situation, the healthcare situation, our education system, energy, whatever, the gateway issue is money in politics. And I think if you look at what's evolved in Washington in recent years, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or liberal conservative, you step back and you see a lot of what economists call rent-seeking. People not directly paying bribes, but paying for access, for influence, lobbying, and trying to get results, not through competition, but through political access. In our first report on campaign finance reform a decade ago, we were very clear on page 1. We said that as business leaders, we want to compete in the marketplace and not in the political arena. And I think that's a very important issue for business. The final point I would make is the judicial issue. And I'm very pleased to once again to share a forum with Hugh Caperton, who's a real hero for many of us, certainly for me, and also with Landon Rowland, who has become our lead trustee on issues around judicial selection, and also Tom Gottschalk. Tom and I serve on the board of Transparency International USA. And Transparency International has a history of telling the rest of the world what to do. And sometimes we forget that we have some transparency and integrity problems right here in this country. And so Tom and I, with some success, have pushed the TI USA board to make judicial selection reform an issue for that great organization. If you were advising a newly established democracy, would you advise them to set up a money in politics system like we have in this country? And I think the answer would be no. So what we are trying to do at CED is to engage business leaders and others around the country to help drive reform. We meet with people from the media. We'll talk with anyone because we actually believe that the health of our economy and the quality of our democracy are at stake in this issue. So again, thank you all for being here this afternoon, and now I'd like to turn the proceedings over to my friend, colleague, and fellow Wahoo, Bert Brandenburg. We're both alumni of the University of Virginia School of Law. So Bert is the executive director of the Justice at Stake campaign and a very, very able partner, and we love working with Bert and his great organization. So Bert, the floor is yours. Thank you.